gentlemen. It's November 17th, 7 o'clock p.m. This is a special meeting of the Wayne Westland Board of Education. Thank you for being here. We're going to begin our meeting this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, led by Schweitzer Elementary School student Hayden Madison. Thank you, Hayden, for coming up and helping us with this. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Hayden.
Thank you so very much.
Hayden, what's your teacher's name? Okay. Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda, 183.24, is the roll call attendance. Ms. Hines?
All right.
Ms. Abney Mitchell,
Present.
Dr. Weaver,
Present.
Ms. Hines present, Ms. May,
Present.
Mr. Neal,
Present.
President Cox,
Present.
6-0.
Thanks, Mel. Next item on our agenda, 185.24, is the appointment process for board members. So let me explain what we're going to do tonight. We have several people, 8 or 9. There's still 1 or 2 who have contacted us. They are on their way to the meeting right now. They don't want to be excluded because they couldn't be here on time, and we'll fit them in at the end. We want everybody to have an opportunity. We're going to begin with giving everybody who is directed to us a letter of interest the opportunity to come up to the lectern and to speak for a few minutes. For 3 minutes is the maximum amount of time allowed. You don't have to use the whole 3 minutes. You're just welcome to come up and say whatever you'd like. And I'm going to ask a question of each person. It'll be a different question. I will ask one member of the Board of Education to present the question, and I'll ask the person to go ahead and answer the question. And when you're done, we'll thank you. And we'll take people in the order that their letters were received, unless they're late, and then we'll put them at the end. At the end of that first portion of the process, once everyone has had an opportunity to speak and answered one question from various members of the board is then going to rate their choices from 1 to 3. So your first choice for the appointment would receive 2-point valuation. Your second choice for the appointment would be 1 point, and the third choice would be a half a point. All of the members of the board are going to write this down on a piece of paper that's been prepared just for this, and they're going to pass it to the chair. The chair is then going to read the results, and the results are going to be quantified by Kim, the executive secretary, who is then going to tell us who the top 3 point getters were. The idea being that those people probably have support of the majority of the board. You know, you're not all unknown to us. We know who you are. And in that way, quite frankly, folks, having you here willing to come in and help us at a time when you know we need somebody, we need to fill this seat, it's very gratifying to see how many quality people have said to us, send me, I'll go. You can count on me. Nobody wants to be put into a difficult situation, but here you have all agreed that you're willing to do that for your school district. And quite frankly, I've had some conversations with several people have asked me, how does the process go? What do you expect of a board member? What kind of a time commitment? I've had great conversations. Really, it's gotten me through this because everybody's just as dedicated to being successful as we are, so it's a great fit, and I want people to know if you're not selected for this seat tonight, that doesn't end the work that we have for you. Please continue to be involved. We need you here, the kids need you to be involved, and I certainly appreciate you being here tonight. So the first person on our list has called us, and as a consequence of a family emergency, unfortunately, they can't be here. So the second letter that we received was received by Monica Dietz. Hi, Monica.
Hello.
We're going to just come on up to the lectern here and say whatever you like.
Good evening. My name is Monica Dietz.
and I'm a resident of Westland. I was born in Detroit, raised in Westland, went to John Glenn High School, got my bachelor's degree at the University of Michigan in Dearborn with distinction, and went on to teach. Several years after graduating with my bachelor's, I went back to school to get my certification. So I began teaching in 2006 and then returned to school for my master's. So I'm very interested in having a voice and a platform and an ability to advocate for our students. And that comes primarily from my own experiences as a person with a disability. There isn't the same expectation for you when you're a child that you're going to grow up and be successful in this world. Not that you would be a failure, but that you wouldn't have the same opportunities as other people. And I've always felt so strongly about education because of my experiences here in this district that set me up to succeed. I want to see other students have that same opportunity. And so it means a lot to me for our students to be able to read well, to read on grade level, to be prepared for college when it comes. I work with college students, I work with master's degree students and PhD students today as a tutor. And the number one request of every student at every level is to improve their reading comprehension all the way up to PhD. Because if you can't understand what the assignment is, you can't complete the assignment. So I'm very honored to have this opportunity to speak with you this evening and possibly take on the role of assisting here on the school board. But even if that doesn't happen, I still am committed, as you said earlier, sir, to helping our district and offering services of tutoring and assisting and volunteering with the school when possible. Thank you.
Monica. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you. Ms. May. Or you didn't get any questions? Dr. Weaver? Come on back up, Dr. Weaver's. They're right in front, right there, that
Yes,
first.
I said I'm
that
just
first-
picking any one. That was my question.
Yeah, no, you're just gonna ask one question, yeah. Let me interrupt you for a minute. Have I made it clear that following all of the people with interest, the board is going to vote 1, 2, 3, and then only those 3 people are gonna advance to the
Okay.
voting? Okay, just so everyone knows.
Good evening, Monica. My question is, what would you like to see changed in the district, and how do you envision your role in that change?
So having served as a substitute teacher and then as a part-time instructor in our district in the past, I would say our concern as educators in the classroom was to see more parental involvement and to find ways to encourage parental involvement in our district, and also to have the kind of supports that are tangible, that are necessary for teachers to succeed from the administration as well. So a large part of my experience, I previously worked in a charter school for parent-teacher conferences at the charter school. There wasn't enough time to spend all the time you wanted with every parent there. But when I came to our district, I had 2 people come to parent-teacher conferences on that night. So it was discouraging. And I think if parents really knew what opportunities were available for them to participate, to contribute, even if their time is limited, I think if we can define those roles and provide support to help parents engage with one another and with the school, that would go a long way in helping schools improve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you for being here for us. The next person on our list is Mr. Bradley Gray.
Hi, I did prepare something a little. So for those in the room who don't know me, I'm Bradley Gray. This district has been a part of my life, my entire life. My grandmother began working for the district in the cafeteria at Wildwood Elementary back in the 1970s, shortly after immigrating here from Scotland. I went to Wildwood Elementary, John Marshall Middle School, and John Glenn High School. My grandmother passed that legacy on to my mother and sister, who are both employees in the district. I also like to think of myself as a great example of a success story of what a Wayne Westland education can provide for a student. I received my associate's degree from Schoolcraft College, my bachelor's from the University of Central Florida, my MBA from Wayne State University, and my law degree from the University of Detroit Mercy. While I've never worked for a school district directly, the education systems continue to be a part of my life as an adult. Shortly after I finished my bachelor's, I went to work for the Michigan Senate and clerked for the Michigan Senate Education Committee. From there, I went to work for the Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals, which a lot of you know is right down the hall from MASB, so got to know a lot of people there as well. And as a junior member of the Detroit Mercy Law Review, I wrote my student note on Michigan's 2017 school discipline reform and how while changes were necessary, the lack of support from the state resulted in disparity in outcomes from this reform between districts and having a disproportionate effect on minority students. As many of you know, I also ran for a seat on the school board last year. I spent time talking to stakeholders of the community, getting to know parents, and finding out what mattered to the parents in the community, as well as the teachers, the administration, and the staff. But perhaps most importantly, I'm a parent of Wayne Westland students. I have a daughter who recently began at Stottlemyre as a preschool student, and my son attends the Champions program at Stevenson Middle School. So I have a direct stake in the outcomes of this district, and I'm going to for a number of years. As I mentioned in my letter to all of you, at times like this, it's important that the board appoint a member that is informed on the issues, has the qualifications necessary to understand these important issues, has strong connections with the community, and is ready to hit the ground running. I believe that I possess these unique qualifications that would allow me to join you all in helping our district get through the difficult times that we're currently facing, as well as the better times that are to come. Thank you for all the work that all of you do for our students, the staff, administration, and the rest of the community, and I hope that you'll give me serious consideration in appointing me to the board.
Thank you, Brad. Dr. Weaver?
Hello, Mr. Gray. When voting on issues, are you always willing to put learning first and give primacy to what's best for children?
Yes, 100%. And as I mentioned, I do feel that I am a great example of a success story of what the education that our education community can provide for our students. And I was able to do that through the great educators that I had, through the great administrators, the great principals in my building, and the great support we had from our board office. So when making decisions on votes, I think all of those things need to be weighed because all of those things are going to have a direct impact on the students.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Kim, will you tell me where Barb falls in the,
She will be at the end now.
okay. Mr. McKay, Kevin McKay? Welcome, Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. For those of you who don't know, my name is Kevin McKay. I'm actually a legacy of Wayne Westland Community Schools. My grandfather was on this board, was a volunteer in the district for a number of years. My two uncles and my father are all alums of Wayne Memorial. My sister and I are alums. Two of my sons are alums, and my daughter's a current student at John Glenn High School. My father also taught in this district for 33 years, 26 at Stevenson, then junior high, now middle school. And when that middle school change happened, he went to Wayne Memorial. He retired from Wayne Memorial in 2001, and for him it was a full circle. But that circle really didn't end, because he helped instill in me what it means to be a part of this community. I spent most of the last 20 years as a parent volunteer in about 9 different buildings in this district. Some of them don't exist anymore. My oldest son graduated in 2013, attended Kettering, Adams, and Wayne Memorial. So I volunteered at all 3 of those buildings, helped with the PTA, helped chaperone, helped with fundraising events, what have you. My middle son, or my youngest son, middle child, graduated 2 years ago from Wayne Memorial. I spent 14 years supporting a program both sons were in, Wayne Memorial Instrumental Music. As photographer, announcer, chaperone, just about everything I could do, equipment mover, what have you. I have been a PTO, PTA member and volunteer in several buildings, and have followed my daughter along from Walker Winter up to Stevenson, where I tried to maintain a PTA there that didn't exist before. And now she's at John Glenn, and I'm trying to find a niche there, being a zebra for most of my 55 years. My parents were also greatly involved in community. Both were in the JCs, or JSETs, and held various offices and worked on very intriguing and complicated community projects through that organizations. My mom also coordinated volunteers with Easter Seals for 3 counties and helped run the telethon for a number of years. My father was with a group called Parents Without Partners. It was for divorced parents with children, redundant, sorry, for divorced parents as a support group and a social group to help them work through being a parent but not having a partner. Watching them work with these organizations furthered my interest in supporting our community and our kids. I ran the Watchdogs program at Walker Winter for several years and helped build the program at a couple other schools. That program means the world to me. And it's already been said there aren't enough parent volunteers in our district. And the Watchdogs program was one way to get more dads into the buildings and be involved. And there was no greater feeling than walking in the building, even if I was just dropping my daughter off, and having kids coming up and asking me if I was the watchdog that day and giving me high fives or hugs. Because of what I could help bring to them and to their teachers to help the day. Help serve them lunch, help them read a story or play a game. And seeing that with all the dads made all the difference in the elementary school. Seeing the music program at Wayne Memorial develop and flourish even through COVID. The band didn't shut down, it decreased in size, but it's flourishing again. And these kids have gone on to become some of the greatest students we've graduated. Most of them are good, about half of them have been honor students in some years, and have gone on to great successes in music and without. And to be a part of that and see their growth has just been rewarding. I'm hoping the opportunity to serve with the board will give me another opportunity to support our children at all levels, in all their activities, in all their academics. As was kind of indicated with a previous question, it is children first. That's the reason we're here, is for our children. So I'm hoping I can serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Mr. Neal?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. McKay, as you probably are aware, we face some serious challenges in the near future, some serious decisions, important decisions that have to be made. And these things will require the board to work together and work together with administration. What makes you want to join this board at this time? What do you offer?
Well, 2 questions there. What makes me want to join? I want to help. If this board can't do its job properly or efficiently, it affects everything throughout the district. It affects our faculty and our staff, it affects our students, it affects our programs, it affects success throughout. I want to help make that happen. It is in me to give back and to do and to participate and to belong, and I want to do that with the board. What can I bring to that? I know a lot of people in the district. I know staff, I know administration, I know many of you on the board and have for years. People throughout the district also know me. I've been volunteer and I was a substitute teacher for a while, so I've worked and participated in many of the buildings. I'm a parent in the district. I have contact and information, and I have experience in some of the buildings that might shed some different insight to help a board work together to make those decisions and continue the success of our district.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is Mr. Simmerer here? Hello, Art. Please.
Hello, my name is Robert Simmer. I am a parent in the district. I have 3 children, twin boys. They attend Stevenson Middle School, and a daughter who attends Hamilton Elementary. My wife is also a teacher at Hamilton Elementary and has been there for about 10 years now. I've lived in Westland for almost 20 years. I did not go through school in Westland. I went through Plymouth Canton, but I have been local to this area for my entire life. The reason I'd like to join this board is I'd like to help in any way that I can. I can see the challenges my children have every day. My kids come home and they say, hey, I was in school today and my project was stolen. And I talk to the teacher and the teacher says, well, we can't do anything about it. The kids steal. And I said, that's not right. Why is this happening? Why are these things happening in this district? My daughter, she loves her teacher. She loves this district. And every time I talk to her and I see the excitement in her and the things that she gets to do, it just lights up my world. And it's like, this is awesome. My sons, they went through the sports program. They did the flag football and they loved it. It was awesome. I got to coach. I was their coach for that. And that was one of the best programs that the district has done. And I loved it. And it was, cost effective and it was great for the parents. So I love a lot of what the board or what the district has done, and I really like to help, and that's it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Luana?
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, my question is, what would you like to see change in the district, and how do you envision your role in that change?
What would I like to see changed? I'd like to see kids held accountable for things that they've done. And I'm not talking about, punishment or whatever, but I feel that there's so many children in this district that are just, they cause problems at school and then they're not punished at all. There's no accountability. And then they go on to high school and they do that. And I'd like to see this district become a beacon for, making sure that people are held accountable for the actions that they do. That's one of the hugest things that I've seen. How do I envision my role of being on this board? I'd like to be able to vote on the issues and, make things better for the kids who, I don't want to say kids are causing trouble, because that's not what I'm trying to say. But I feel that a lot of the shining stars in the district are getting overshadowed by things that are happening at these schools. And I'd like to see that changed.
Thank you very much, Robert.
Thank you.
Will Miller? Hello, Will. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Chair Cox, how are you, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Will Miller, as the gentleman said. I am a resident of Inkster, Michigan, by way of Flint, Michigan. I've been in Inkster for about 20-some odd years. A little bit about myself, just so I don't have to mess up my posture here. Like I said, born and raised in Flint, Michigan. Grew up there. Schooling in that community in the time that I grew up was a powerful thing, if you're familiar with what happened with the Whaley schools and the community school district systems. It's something that I'm a product of. After that, went to Grand Valley State University, majored in chemistry. I was there for about 3 years and got to a point where I was getting ready to start to graduate. When we first moved there, though, my father and I bought a small piece of real estate. If you're familiar with Grand Valley, it's out in Allendale. We got a small piece of real estate, bought it, sold it, and when I got my half of the money and I found out how much a starting out chemist made, I was done with college. So I started getting back into real estate, started doing real estate development, came home, fell in love with Inkster. I had I'm a sort of a serial entrepreneur. I'm gonna try not to ramble, but I tend to do it. Was a small entrepreneur for a little bit, had a small contracting company, got bought out, got hired by Comcast. I've been there for 15 years. I helped manage fiber optic cuts and stuff. I was a fiber optic technician. I got a bunch of slashes behind my name. After that, I started getting into the community more and more. Some of y'all folks I've been president of a civil rights organization in the city. I sit on 3 boards currently. I have been 10 years with Western Wayne Family Health Centers. I'm the board treasurer there. I sit with Inkster's Housing Commission. I'm the board treasurer there. Have my own small nonprofit, Civic Core Community Development. It's pretty much what I do. The reason why I did this, and you can kind of see where I ranked in, where everybody came in, I'm towards the back on this. I'm towards the back because I came here due to the adversity, right? People in my community came to me, and they've come to me for other times. Well, why don't you run for this, run for that, because I've run for other things. And I was like, no, but this one for me was actually pretty important for a couple of reasons. One is in my alley when it comes down to board governance and finance. It's something that I'm passionate about. That is the lifeblood of the organization. Everything dies through austerity. Everything. The people who came here, I've seen that brother campaign and walk and speak passionately about this community for years. That gentleman, I've been in meetings and he ain't been here. Without the money working right, all of that dies. So my goal is to try and come in. I'm not here to run for it. I'm not here to do anything. I'm here to do the work. So I'm gonna come in, try and do the things I've done as a board person throughout the community and organizations that have had newsworthy problems that have now been corrected while I was sitting there. So I'm here to help.
Thank you, Will.
All right.
Mel?
Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'd like to ask, what do you see your role and responsibilities as a school board member?
Okay, with regard to that, is in this particular case, it's a special time, but board governance is board governance is board governance. At this particular stage, you guys are gonna have a lot of things coming at you. You're gonna have the media coming at you, you're gonna have community coming at you, you're gonna have the state coming at you, you're gonna have people from spots that you haven't even thought of coming at you. Trying to keep the place cohesive while still working with the administration and working with the community and still trying to do the business at hand is gonna be the goal. That's gonna be an all hands on deck type of thing with people who've done it before. So for me, that's gonna be one of my things. You're gonna have to be in the schools. You're gonna have to be working with people because things like this make a vicious cycle. People gonna start, there's money at a certain level now. As people start feeling fearful, it's gonna be less and less to work with as people start making decisions about their lives and their families' lives. You need to make sure that those people are calm and cool and willing to work with you and help while you're trying to do the business at hand. It's gonna be a lot of hard work, so you need a board that's gonna be cohesive.
Thank you, Will. Appreciate you being
I
here.
appreciate y'all letting me.
Jessica West.
Good evening.
Welcome.
I'm Jessica West. Unlike many in the room, I am not a Michigan native. I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, and so I have maybe a little bit of a different perspective here. I chose the community that we live in, Wayne Westland, a little under 20 years ago. We moved into Wayne, and we specifically chose to move into Westland so that our kids would attend John Glenn School District. For a brief period of time, our kids did not. They actually went to Lincoln schools, mostly out of convenience due to daycare situations, I'm sure many can understand. But we were drawn back specifically to Wayne Westland Schools for the talented and gifted program that existed at the time. I have 4 children. As many of you know, you've seen me speak out regarding the issues recently. But my background is in local government. I've been a public servant for almost 18 years, serving in local government. I'm the Director of Community Development, that's my role. And what that means is that I am the go-between between the elected officials, the Board of Trustees that we have, and the community. I'm the face and the person that's handling public engagement. I'm the person that is finding solutions to problems, that's helping to develop plans and policies and procedures to shape and mold and bring to life the vision for that community. And for almost 20 years, I've done that in a community I don't live in. We chose not to live in that community because that community is not as diverse and affluent as this community is. And we chose this community to live in because of its diversity. We wanted our children to be exposed to people from all walks of life. And a number of years ago, it's very hard being a mother of four and having a full-time career. But I recognized that while I was working and serving a community that I don't live in, I needed to be serving in the community that I live in. And so I've served on many, many boards and commissions, both professionally as well as volunteering for things locally, such as the Westland Goodfellows, such as the John Glenn Music Boosters. I've been a coach, volleyball and softball, for decades. I just recently stopped coaching because there are too many things going on all at one time. But I bring that mentality to the work that I do professionally, as well as the way that I raise my children, as well as the way that I choose to serve in the community. I'm the person who rolls up their sleeves and gets things done. I believe in community service. I've taught that to my children. I've embraced children throughout the community as well. And ultimately, my goal is to make sure that not only can my children be the best versions of themselves, but also all of the children that are in my proximity. And that's ultimately what my goal is here. I see that there is an issue that an obstacle that we need to overcome, but I also see that we want to have positive change moving forward in this school district. And I'm here volunteering my time and efforts to be part of that positive change.
Thank you, Jessica. Dr. Weaver.
Ms. West, describe your response if a parent cornered you in the grocery store and asked for your support on a particular hot issue.
It's not unlike what I deal with in a professional manner on a regular basis. When I'm out and about in the community that I serve, I'm often cornered by residents about different issues and things. I also understand and respect that my role does not speak for the entire board or community that I serve, and so receiving that information and having active listening skills is the very first and foremost important thing that I need to do. I need to find out what the heart of the issue is, listen to them. I'm not making any promises or, validating anything that they're saying. I'm taking and receiving that information so that I can investigate the issue more, learn more about it, connect them with whatever people they need to be connected with in order to get the proper information to try and find a resolution to their problem. I recognize that there's not always a resolution to their problem either, but sometimes hearing someone and validating that, not validating, but allowing them to get that off of their chest and relay that information is enough to calm them down to begin with. And then following up with any solutions that are possible is the next step to that. So if I was cornered in a grocery store, the first thing I would say is, "Hi, I'm Jessica West. I am happy to hear what you have to say. What is going on? How can I help?" And then my response likely would be, "I need to look into this more. Can I give you my contact information? I'm going to follow up with you."
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
Ronald Staples. Welcome, Ron. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start off with just a mission statement that I wrote down right before I came here. My mission statement for you, ladies and gentlemen, would be, I want to serve this community and board to continue and create a positive environment for the Wayne Westland Community School District. That's my mission statement. Now I'll start with where I grew up. Just like a lot of people here, I'm a product of Wayne Westland. I went to Elliott Elementary School. I went to Adams Junior High. I'm class of 1976, Wayne Memorial. Went to Eastern Michigan. Got my degree in teaching. Could have went anywhere, maybe to sub back in the day. I came back to Wayne Westland. I subbed for 7 years. Each year thought I would have a job. I didn't get it. There's something called the subcorps. They guaranteed you 120 days subbing back in the day. I was always on the subcorps. never got the job. I kept plugging away. Had a wife, first son, kept subbing. 1991, I became hired at P.D. Graham, took Dan Barati's spot at P.D. Graham for elementary physical education teacher. Moved on to Adams, moved on to Marshall, moved on to John Glenn. After 38 years of teaching, coaching, department head, decided I'll retire. So I retired in June. But I can't sit around. I've been used to coaching, I've been used to teaching. And I said, there's a board opening, I'm gonna put my name in there, so I appreciate you taking the letter. I'm a good listener. I'm flexible and easy to work with. I work hard to reach fair and equitable decisions. I'm a strategic thinker that comes from coaching. I'm reasonable. I look at all sides and then talk to my colleagues, and then we'll come to a decision, vote yes or no, or they change my mind, I change their mind, but I'm reasonable. I'm confident in my abilities. I've been in this district, I'm 65 years old. I've been in here for 65 years. I'll continue to stay in this community. I thank you for the opportunity. And with that, I'll take my question of who's going to win the Michigan-Ohio State game.
Thank you, Ron.
Question.
Ms. May?
Sure. Good evening, Ron. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
After review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you manage the situation?
If it was different than my position?
Yes.
I'd accept it. It's very simple. I accept the results. And then we move on. I will give my opinion. As I stated before, I'm a good listener. I listen to all the arguments. And I work with every one of you. I cast my vote, and where the vote lands, you accept it and you move on. It's that simple.
Thank you, Ron, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Next is Andrew Ambrose.
Good evening. A little bit about myself. I grew up downriver in Lincoln Park, a community a lot like Wayne. And while I graduated from Lincoln Park High School, I didn't go to college right away. Instead, I went to the William T. Ford Career Technical Center right next door. I went to the automotive technology program. Got licensed as a mechanic through it. Got a job right away with my licensing at Roush Industries as a mechanic. Moved on to be an automotive test technician, and eventually worked my way to Eastern Michigan, where I graduated in 2016 in mechanical engineering technology, and now I'm employed by Ford Motor Company as an engineer at the Flat Rock Assembly Plant. My family, we live in Canton. My kids, all three of them, went to Walker Winter. When they were at Walker Winter, Mrs. Meidich came up with the Watchdog program, and I volunteered. It was probably some of the best times I had watching my kids grow up was in their classrooms. And it was great because some of their teachers that they had in years past, when I would sign up to take me in their classroom. A lot of them would have me work with some of their struggling students, helping them with math, helping them with reading. My kids went on to Adams and to Franklin, And then we joined another family, the Zebra Music family. All three of my kids, two have since graduated, one is still in it today. She graduates next school year. And that was probably the best experience that we had, is being a part of that program. It's full of a bunch of amazing people. We've been blessed to have some great teachers, from Mr. Matt Dyroff to Michael Wolf to now David Meddy. We didn't want to go to Wayne Memorial when my kids were growing up. We wanted them to be in John Glenn. But I am so glad that we didn't try to move to get them into John Glenn, because the experiences that they've had at Wayne. This district has some challenges. As an engineer, I'm a problem solver. One thing I see is STEM education is really a big thing. It teaches them science and technology, but more importantly, it teaches how to methodically solve problems. And that's what I would like to do if I have a chance to serve on the board, to help solve problems that are facing our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Luana?
Yes. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. President. As a board member, oh no, that's not the question. The question is, on an average month for the school board members includes about 5 scheduled meetings and perhaps another 5 school or activities related. How would you fit this into your schedule?
How would I fit it into my schedule? In my church, we have a set of articles of faith, and we have an unofficial one. It's called We Believe in Meetings. We have endured many meetings. In my church, in the position that I hold, and it's only temporary for a few years, I probably attend 3 meetings a week alone. On Sunday, on Tuesday. Band boosters, you make it work. If you're willing to serve and you have the support of your family, you make it work. And let me tell you, there is nothing more important to me than my kid, my daughter now, who is getting ready to graduate in a year, and the quality of her education. I am there for every football game. I work the sidelines for Wayne Memorial on the chain gang. I help when we go and march, when the band's marching out, I'm running to the sideline to push equipment out. Last board meeting, when Mr. Cox mentioned the trucks for the marching band, I was one of the ones driving those trucks to Ford Field. You do what you can, because at the end of the day, it's the kids that matter.
Thank you, sir. Next, Barb Bovia. Hello, Barb. Thank you for being here.
Good evening. I feel like I'm the finale, you know. I'm going to bring the fireworks. My name is Barb Bovia. I've been in the district my whole life. Graduated from Wayne Wesleyan Schools along with my husband, our 3 children. They were all involved in sports, and that's why we know coaches, we know parents, other students. I guess one of the proudest moments for us was when our son, who was not college bound, we could tell that, he took an interest in electronics, and he went to Votech, and he loved it, and he did very well in that, and it's serving him now in his profession. So we're very grateful to that they had an alternative for him. I worked in corporate America for 34 years, So I know about negotiating, I know with people who are upset, I know about budget, I know about reviews. I'm very familiar with all of that. Once I left corporate America, I decided that while our children were in school, I would volunteer as I could while working full-time, but my heart was really in elementary school. And so I was fortunate enough that at the time, a teacher that I had been volunteering with said that she was retiring, but there was a young teacher just kind of coming on board, and that she would be more than willing to take me under her wing. And so I've been with that teacher now for 12 years. I volunteer on a full-time basis every day. That means that a lot of times at the end of the school year, parents are shocked that I'm not a paid employee of the district, and I can't believe you're here every day. But the reward, I don't get paid with a paycheck. I get paid in so many other ways. And I have a unique perspective because I am with students, I am with parents, I am with teachers, I am with support staff. I hear a lot that goes on, and people are willing to talk if you're willing to listen. And I've learned so much from being in that environment, and I'm very grateful for that. I also, my payment is with these children, and just a couple years ago, we had a child that came into our Young Five program that was nonverbal. And within a very short period of time, his parents were saying, we can't believe how we can understand what he's saying, and so can our family. He can communicate now. Now, if that isn't a payoff, I'm not quite sure what is, because that was something they were not expecting from our program, and we delivered. And so it's been, my path has been very wild, I would say, going from corporate America to a 5-year-old. But I enjoy it, and I help whenever I can in different ways. If a classroom needs my help, I just spring into action over there. And that's the beauty of it, is that every day is different, but I do hear the concerns, and I do know what they need. And that's why I think being in that position, I could maybe have the ability to give you insight into what parents' concerns are and what teachers are worried about and what support staff thinks about every day and how it involves a parent. And even though they're little, they have so much to teach us. We can learn from them. You would not believe what you can learn from a 6-year-old. You just have to listen, and that's so important. And that's what I'm willing to do on the board, is listen to what the citizens have to say, because I'm a citizen of Westland. I pay my taxes. My children have graduated a long time ago, but I'm involved, and I want the board to know that I'm all in this position. And if I am not what you're looking for, if I'm not what you need right now, then I would say consider me in another role where I can still continue to help. In closing, I'd like to say that I'm in a room with a lot of people that are very impressive. And just to see what they're willing to do, what they're willing to sacrifice to help our community, help our kids, help the school board, tackle whatever problems we have, I think that says a lot about our community, that this group of people, they're willing to do it. They're willing to put it all on the line. So I thank you for your consideration. I'll take my question.
Thank you, Barb. Chief Neal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Barb, at times, you may be caught between different opinions, opposing points of view, or your thinking may be in opposition to a policy or even a law, which happened during COVID often. How would you handle those situations?
Well, first you have to gather all the facts, and you would have to research and find out what can you do, what are we allowed to do, what is within our scope. And then you have to make the hard decisions, And I know that everyone doesn't agree on everything, and you can see that as a minus, or you can see that as a plus. Because sometimes when you don't agree with someone on something, then it opens your eyes to what are some other possibilities. And if you're truly listening, you're gonna hear what they're saying, and it might change your mind, it might not, but at least think about it. It's something to consider. And you'll probably look at things a little different, at least understanding their point of view, if not agreeing with it.
Thank you, Barb.
So I thank you.
You gotta be impressed with the people in this room. And although I've had to do that once or twice in my life, I never looked forward to it. Yet everybody did a remarkable job. And true to form, it really does show it's a very healthy community. It's a very healthy school district when this many quality people are willing to pitch in, especially when times are tough. You know, it's easy when everything's going good, but all wonderful perspectives, and I want to thank you sincerely. And as I say, we've only got one seat to fill here. Please stay involved. We need you, and the kids need you. And thank you so much. And your perspectives and your concern, they need to keep going regardless of what this goes. We need to get answers to that for you and work together for that. Well, I'm going to ask members of the Board of Education, please complete your lists of the candidates that you prefer and send them to the center. I'll read them. Kim, you'll take a I was thinking of taking a recess at this point, but I think we'll just sit here, okay? We're just, no sense in talking amongst ourselves. If we have something to say, we'll just say it. Waiting for your,
Pass it down.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to ask for it. I'm ready. Are we folded? Yes.
yeah, fold it and send it to, send it in, please. Thank you, Mel. Okay, I'm just gonna begin with whichever one I have first. Dr. Fred Weaver. Choice number 1, Mr. Gray. Choice number 2, Mr. Ambrose. Choice number 3, Mr. Miller. Mr. Neal. Number 1 is Bradley Gray. Number 2 is Kevin McKay. Number 3 is Monica Dietz. Ms. Hines. Number 1 is Will Miller. Number 2 is Bradley Gray. Number 3 is Monica Dietz. Ms. May. Number 1 is Monica Dietz. Number 2 is Will Miller. Number 3 is Barb Bovia.
Mr. Cox, will you please repeat that?
Yes. Kimberly May, number 1 is Monica Dietz. Number 2 is Will Miller. And number 3 is Barb Bovia. Ms. Ebony Mitchell, number 1 is Will Miller. Number 2 is Monica Dietz. Number 3 is Barbara Bovia. And Mr. Cox, number 1 is Brad Gray. Number 2 is Barb Bovia. And number 3 is Kevin McKay. Sure. Shouldn't there be some music? And of course, once the compilation of these points has been completed, we'll move to the next phase of this process. Bless you. Holy cow, you've been blessed all over the place. Good place to sneeze. All right, that's number 1, number 2. And how many for 5 by 5? And thank you. Let the record reflect that the promulgation of the points is that Mr. Gray has received 7 points, Mr. Miller received 5.5 points, and Ms. Dietz has received 4 points. So those 3 will advance to the next part. Thank you, everyone. You certainly don't have to leave. As a matter of fact, you don't ever have to leave. We'd like you to be here. We'd like you to continue to help us. But we're going to move forward now with some questions. And we're going to begin with Mr. Gray, as he received the most points. Now, in this portion, what we're going to do is each member of the board, exclusive of the chairman, is going to choose a question. And we're just going to have a discussion. There's no time limit. Of course, be mindful of that game. And we'll begin. We're going to begin at this end of the table only because Luana has asked me to quit beginning at that end of the table.
Which end? My end?
Your end, Gail.
We going by experience, not age,
No.
not
Well,
beauty.
thank you, dear. Okay, I would like to be a little more specific about the recent situation. You may be aware of where we are as far as discussions at the last few meetings. And we have a challenge ahead of us to solve some issues related to how much money we have available in our budget and what to do next. May involve different things. Could be employees laid off, could be people moved from one place to another, could be other kinds of services looked at. We don't really know yet. What do you think about that?
Well, as you've all been doing over the past few weeks, I think the first step was definitely finding out exactly how bad the problem was. I'm not sure how close you are to that. I know it was supposed to be pretty soon you were going to find that out. Once you know that, I think you do need to look at everything, like was said in the meeting a couple weeks ago. But when I say that, I mean everything. I know there's a lot of staff out there that are afraid for their jobs right now, and I think you've all been fairly clear trying to tell them that we're not just looking at cutting teachers, we're not looking just at cutting parapros, we're looking at the entire budget. And I think that's the most important thing to do. Just going back to previous experience of mine, before I went to law school, I worked in supply chain. And I'm sure a lot of you know this principle even without coming from supply chain, but 80% of the problems come from 20% of the issues. And I think that's the big thing, is to find the smallest areas that can make the biggest difference when it comes to trying to right-size this budget, which is exactly what I did as a transportation analyst, working with companies such as Pratt & Whitney, Cody Cosmetics, when they bought Kim Kardashian's line, and Procter & Gamble during the first year of the COVID crisis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luana.
Oh,
Three curve.
Good evening. He snuck up on me. I thought he was going to go around. So, my question is, and I'll read the question. It is, okay. Are you willing to pursue the skills and the knowledge and the training necessary to becoming a fully functioning and efficient board member? Provide examples of how you might accomplish that.
Oh, 100%. And as I mentioned earlier, I did work for the Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals right next in the same building, right next to MASB. I think MASB is a great resource to getting the training and the certifications to be a great board member. I think that's more on the formal side, is getting actual training there. I understand all the importance of their organization, but I think also being willing to listen to members of the community about issues. I think that's a form of training as well, as being able to listen to the community.
Thank you. Dr. Weaver.
Yes, thank you. My question is, considering what the board is going through right now, are you able to personalize rude comments or false accusations as they come against you? Are you able to compartmentalize that?
Sure I am. And while I was going to college, I actually worked for Apple. I worked at the Genius Bar at Apple. And if any of you have ever had an iPhone that went wrong or had to go to the Genius Bar, it's not, but a lot of people, when they come to the Apple store with a problem with their phone, they think it's the worst day of their life. They're very unhappy about things, and that's some of the training that Apple imparts in their employees. I think is something that's important for any organization, in part, is to assume positive intent. When that person's coming up to a meeting and they're angry, something is terrible, they're afraid, you just have to think about, you don't necessarily know where they're coming from, you don't know all the details, you don't know everything about what's going on in their life. And maybe they're directing that anger towards you in the moment, but a lot of times it's not actually about you, it's about the situation. And I think just trying to remember that is always a good way to separate the things they're saying from the personalization of them directing it at you.
Thank you.
Ms. May?
Yes, I was trying to find the question I had, lost it. How do you feel the school district can improve the academic achievement of students and the professional development of staff?
Yeah, one thing is, I think we do partner with the organizations that are set up to do that. I mean, like when I worked at the Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals, a big part of it was making sure to help, work with the teachers and the administrators that came to our trainings to get the trainings that they needed based on the state, but also things that were going to help them. So I think that's a big thing, is partnering with the organizations that have the expertise in those things. And I'm sorry, what was the other half of the question again? That was the second half.
Academic achievement.
Oh, academic achievement. Sorry. Yeah, I think partnerships are a big part of that. I think our new early college program that the district is doing, I think is a great step towards that. You know, I do remember one of the other people who spoke here talking about the Talented and Gifted program. I know we no longer have that specific program, but I think programs like that are important for, as a student myself that was a high achiever, that was a way to kind of bridge that gap to be able to introduce myself to other things. But even if, as a student who might have not been as high of achiever as me, programs and organizations and groups like that are a way to pique interest in things and find ways that maybe you're not great academically in the classroom, but maybe you can go to the vocational center and learn, you know, a trade. And all these different programs are ways for students to find out things that maybe they could specialize in, things that maybe they would be good at, because everybody's good at something.
Thank you.
Ms. Hines?
Okay. So describe how you would advocate openness in a democratic process in all board activities with emphasis on team decision making and consensus.
Well, as far as openness, I mean, I think a lot of that is kind of regulated we fall under the Open Meetings Act, so all these conversations happen out in open. I think that is a very important thing, though, right now, is that, you know, just from listening to people over the last few weeks, they feel a little blindsided by the events that happened, even though it's not, I understand that those of you up here didn't have a lot more notice than the public did on a lot of this. And I think it's going to be important over the next few years of trying to rebuild the public's trust, whether we feel that that trust was misplaced or not. And I think a big deal of that is going to make sure that the board's communications are just kind of on point. You know, every single time something happens, that communication is going out to the community at any time. You know, even if something that may seem small at the time, the communication is going out, making sure it's accurate information and that the public has the information they're entitled to, and that they, you know, even if they're not legally entitled to, that they need.
Thank you, Brad. Next up, Mr. Miller. Start with you, Ms. Abby Mitchell.
Okay, good evening again, thank you. I have the same question. Are you willing to pursue the skills, the knowledge, and the training necessary to become a fully functioning and an effective board member? Provide examples of how you might accomplish this.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, let me give you a couple of examples.
That's a great answer.
So, like I told you guys, and if you've seen my resume, didn't finish my degrees. I'm a believer and staunch believer of certifications, right? Live off of them. So, and I've learned to appreciate them because they are so succinct and precise with regard to what your curriculum needs to be, with what it is you need to do, and to put it into action immediately. Love certifications. So once I get an opportunity, and everybody within a board such as this has an education budget, so you can go in there and make sure that you got people who know what they're doing. So I plan on taking full advantage of the education budget and going to get myself some training on what it is I need to do, so I can catch up to speed to folks who have already taken it and been ahead of me with it. But yes. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Neal.
Yeah, and my question is going to be very similar to what I asked as well. You know, with your knowledge of our current situation, you know, we have some challenges that we're facing, and we need help, obviously. We're going to have to come up with some solutions that we have to consider that involve many different things, possible layoffs, changes in services, any number of things. How are you prepared to help us in that regard, or what do you think of that particular situation?
Yeah, sleepless nights. With regard to that, though, it's stakeholder time. Everybody is negatively affected by that, regardless of what the cause of it was. So at this particular stage, you need to build your team quickly and early so that you don't have a bunch of infighting with stakeholders and doing the same thing. So it's time to get in the room with teachers. It's time to get in the street, knock on some doors. Like, listen, this is a serious situation that we have to deal with. All of us are in this, whether you like who voted for or not, where we at or not, because if this doesn't go properly, the end of a storied long program could happen, or be taken over by people who have less care for all the history that these fine people have just laid forth for everybody, and just want the austere measures to be great because the money is the biggest problem. So you need to start to get people together now. Mad or not, happy, whatever, we need to sit down and need to get to work. So I'm gonna start doing that. I will start having serious conversations with administration. Obviously, if that hasn't happened for any reason, that would start. Policy needs to be set forth, and, as a board, the community is gonna come to you guys first, regardless of what the cause of it was. Y'all the face of it, you the people I know, you the people I done put up here. I blame my tax dollars on the board. So I'm like, listen, we have to start using our administrative pen, our policy pen to do more to try and do what we have to do to get this thing to work right, for political reasons, for optics, and for practical reasons.
Thank you.
Ms. May?
Same question. How do you feel the district can improve the academic achievement of students and the professional learning of staff?
When it comes to things like that, I am a big fan of finding out what people want to do. And people who doing the day-to-day work know where the gaps in their education are, know where the gaps in their skill sets are. I was sitting in rooms with folks, because I have to catch myself up to speed with regard to what those folks feel they need in order to best educate the students. I know a lot of teachers, Lord knows my cousin is one, and he pulls so much money out of his pocket for the families and the kids that he loves that it's amazing. So I want to try and get to learn more about why that is. This Wayne Westland is a story community. I got two guys that built 2 houses from this community, working on my staff. Young dudes, 16, 17, they out working guys. I love them. They make them cats look so bad when they out there working. Their level of education and their level of skill set is amazing. So for me, it's going in, learning more about the programs and projects that's going on, and try to make sure that people got what they need to get it done, even in a time as tight as this.
Thank you.
Dr. Weaver?
Thank you, Mr. President. Same question.
Yes, sir.
Are you able to personalize in your board capacity rude comments or false accusations that come your way? How would you do that?
The attorney just spoke about empathy when he was talking about working with folks at the Genius Bar, and you got to have a lot to do that. I've been doing my work, other than my real estate work, I work at Comcast. I've been at Comcast for 15 years. When I say Comcast, it usually evokes a fine emotional response from everybody in the room with regard to how that thing works. I have long since believed that people coming at you like that are coming with passion in their heart. They do not mean, if it comes across as malice, it actually do not mean it. They passionate and they angered or they feel betrayed. Those emotions evoke a lot of different type of responses from folks that they may not necessarily be taking it out on you per se, but you have raised your hand and said, pick me for this spot. So folks gonna come to you and give you what they got to give you for you sitting in that spot. You can't internalize that. You need to do what you can, because people like that are valuable. They in it for the fight. They here to win, right? So you want to make sure after they finish venting, take their breath, you bring them in, because they're like, okay, well, you all upset. I got some work for you. Here, take this, read that, come back to me tomorrow morning, right? And they got to do it now, because you didn't came to me with all that. So you come to me with something, I got something for you.
Ms. Hines?
How do you view the relationship between the Board of Education, the staff, and administration?
Okay, it's complex and fun. I will tell you this, board governance is a tightrope. If y'all haven't been doing this long enough, it's a tightrope, right? But you need to make sure that you give administration what they need to do their job, while not all the way going in there and making it your job to do their job, right? So that's gonna cause you some problems and some trust problems and some issues. In this particular situation, I will say, even with administration in the room, there's going to be some special situations going at this point, because people that that they got some receipts to give back to some people in the community. So there's going to be some hands and some eyes and some spots at this particular point. But ultimately, we all here to do the same thing, right? We here to make sure that our community moves forward, educate and build great people to do great things in our community. So ultimately, I'm here to try and make that happen as best I can. You know, bringing people together, I try to do that.
Did I call on you, Ms. May?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm glad to
Appreciate
be
it.
here. Thank you.
Ms. Dietz? Thank you, Ms. Dietz.
Thank
Luana?
you.
Mr. President, good evening again, Ms. Deeks. I have the same question. Are you willing to pursue the skills, the knowledge, and the training necessary to become a fully functioning and effective board member? Provide examples of how you might accomplish this.
Yes, without training and understanding the role that you're signing up to fill and all the responsibilities and expectations that others have for you, you can succeed. Or if you are in that position and you're going to hurt other people in the process. So what it would look like for me to pursue that kind of training would be to attend the trainings that the board is doing at the state level in Lansing. And also, I think experience is the best teacher. So attending every meeting, asking the tough questions, not being afraid to speak up and not being afraid to say what you don't understand. It's important to, it's just as important what you know. It's just as important what you know as it is what you don't know, and recognizing what you don't know.
Thank you. Chief Neal?
Oh, yeah. Similar question that I've asked the other two candidates. With your knowledge of our current situation, you know, we have some challenges and we're looking for solutions, and it really isn't totally up to us. I should say that, as Mr. Miller pointed out, it's an administrative function, but it's our job to make sure that we support administration and make sure that we get involved in coming up with solutions. But these things may involve layoffs and transfers and other things. What do you feel about that? What do you think you can do about that?
Well, I feel that as a teacher, when you are concerned about your job, you automatically feel like you have to be on the defensive. And I think if we take the opportunity to say we're all on the same team and we have to look at our priorities as a district and what's going to make us the strongest school district that we can be, we kind of have to frame our discussion in terms of that and not put all of the focus on this is not going well, that's not going well, we need to get rid of this, we need to slim down this department. I think if you can talk about the priorities first and get your ducks in a row, that you have more success.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. May?
Yes. How do you feel the school district can improve the academic achievement of students?
This is a good question. Academic achievement, I think a lot of times today, you'll hear a lot of teachers, I happen to follow my colleagues across the country on Instagram, on Facebook. I see all of their posts about what are the big concerns in front of educators and administrators. And I think with academic achievement, the concern is that a lot of times we don't have the data that we need in order to understand what our students' needs are. We don't always know where they excel or where they're falling short. And there are lots of variables involved in that equation. But I think rather than focusing on just the test, we need to start asking students to perform at a level of application, not just knowledge, comprehension, analysis like they do on a test. But can we make a project out of this unit that we're studying? Can you create something that teaches this to your fellow students? Can you explain it to me in your own words? When we go above that level of what the tests are telling us, then students are going to, it's raising the bar all the way. And they're definitely going to succeed academically if you do that, and they're going to succeed on the test as well. To me, this is common sense. But in a data-driven society that we now are in, it seems to make sense to look at the test. And I think it's a measured balance of both.
Dr. Weaver.
What in your mind do you see as the roles and responsibilities of board members?
I believe the board members are there. We are here in a board to represent the public, represent the students, to listen to the public and respond to their concerns, to also provide the framework in which the administrators and the schools themselves will operate, and to provide the financial decisions that need to be made, very tough decisions, I must say, about how policy should dictate what schools can do, what they can try to achieve, and what their goals are overall.
Thank you. Ms. Hines?
What do you think are the most important skills for students to have when they graduate?
Well, earlier I mentioned reading comprehension. Of course, basic math skills. Understanding how to, and I think a great thing that we're doing in this district, I was so happy to learn about the financial literacy piece, because it's a very practical way to incorporate math, make it a little more achievable, a little more accessible to people, and something they can see being able to accomplish later on. And now I've gotten away from the question. So could you repeat the question?
Yes. What do you think are the most important skills for students to have when they graduate?
So the STEM skills. So other skills that they should have are the ability to analyze, the ability to problem solve, as was addressed earlier, and character building and social emotional learning. I think those are key. Employers tell us all the time that they're looking for soft skills. Where do you get those? When you have a really strong administration with the tools that they need to be able to enforce policies and rules within the school in a meaningful way. When you have teachers who know that they have the support, they have the confidence to go and work with their students on social emotional skills. And what I mean by that is just being able to respond to kind of read the room and help students understand how to read the room and how to respond. When there's conflict, teach conflict resolution. If the teachers don't know it, take them to CCPI, learn conflict resolution. So I think all of these skills, when put together, we talk about our subjects that we study, but the skills that cover those overarching skills of being able to be a valuable citizen, to be a responsible employee, those same skills that make you a good parent, make you a good citizen, make you a good student, all across the board. So I think to have a balance of those skills would be immeasurable in its value to students.
Thank you, Ms. Dees.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the interview and question process that we're going through. I'd just like to say we just have a remarkable group of people here. Thank you so very much. And if you'll look around the room, you'll notice that the community is letting us go through this process. You know, they could very easily be here in force and try to encourage people one way or another, but throughout this whole process, to my knowledge, no member of the Board of Education has contacted other members of the Board of Education in attempt to lobby for any particular person, but rather decided that they wish this entire process to occur in front so everybody can see it. And everybody that is watching this process is going to wonder why these board members didn't vote yes on this candidate or this candidate or this candidate. Because the truth is, if I was in a lifeboat with all of you people, I know I'd be okay. I honestly feel. But somebody said it, I think it was Barb, about the decision that the board has to make, and are you the right person at this time? Let me just let you in on a little something that the board members have to be thinking right now. Each of us were elected to be here. And now we have the opportunity to take somebody that wasn't elected and put them in a slot where they could make a decision that could have such far-reaching implications on our school district. I'm gonna take just a moment and tell you my history lesson, Wayne Westland. Almost 40 years ago, the Board of Education at the time, which was a Board of Education with very capable people, ended up in conflict with one another. What they forgot is that board members are not individuals. We are only something when we're here and when we vote. But what was happening is they just weren't cooperating. And at that very same time, the school district had went out for a bond issue, as we do about every 20 years. And that bond issue was not successful because the board at the time, had lost the confidence of the community. The community said, you people can't even decide something. Why would we turn around and give you millions of dollars more? Just a few weeks later, the Headley Amendment became law. And when it became law, it said what we're going to be doing is changing the way public schools are funded. Instead of funding them through this pot of money, we're going to be funding them over here. But don't worry, because whatever you were receiving at the time is going to be what you're going to be receiving in perpetuity. And by the way, you can't go out for a bond issue anymore. So we took a $7 million hit right then, and it lasted for 38 years. Now, 90% of a budget in a school district is employees. So to try to make up where you're gonna get that money, you're not gonna get it. And what ended up happening for years is that teachers, and everyone in here who's been in the classroom will tell you that their curriculum came out of Google and the teacher across the hall and anybody else that they could put together because the district did not have the funding to keep programs. It decimated us. The next thing that happened is quality people, such as those that we have in the room right now, were looking at opportunities at other school districts that didn't have this problem. So the Board of Education has to be very aware that the kind of decision that they make could have tremendous implications. So I want you to take my word for it. You're all worthy of being here. There isn't anybody in this room that couldn't do this job. But have respect for the way the individual board members vote, because there's a lot of things going through their minds right now. Now, in just a moment, the chair is going to entertain a motion and then support for the candidate of whomever's choice. If we are not successful tonight, we still have a fail-safe. If we don't appoint somebody, the Regional Educational Service Agency superintendent will make an appointment from our community. So our district's gonna be whole. We of course have a lot of good people here. I just want you to know that the reason someone would vote yes or no has to do with many things that a board member has to think about and their responsibility. So with that, is there a motion on the appointment for the vacancy?
Mr. President,
Dr. Weaver.
I nominate Bradley Gray.
Bradley Gray has been nominated. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Neal. Is there discussion? There's been a motion and support. And no discussion? Roll call vote, beginning with Luann. Ms. Abney Mitchell?
No.
Ms. May?
No.
Ms. Hines?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Congratulations, Mr. Gray. Gotta do it one more time. Come up with something to say while I ask the superintendent how we're gonna get you sworn in.
No. I want
Are
to
we
thank.
gonna do that right now?
We're not, we'll do it at Monday night's meeting, but I'll need to see you after Mr. Gray.
All right. I do want to thank all of you up there for your confidence tonight, and for those of you who didn't vote for me, I do understand everything that the chairman said about all the people we had in this room here, and that's why I also want to thank everybody in this room that was willing to come out here tonight and speak about your passion for this community and this educational community and what you wish you could do for this community. And like we've been told throughout this meeting, it doesn't stop here. Every one of you is going to be needed volunteer to help move the discussion forward. I was at that meeting a couple weeks ago, and as West, I saw you get up there and advocate on not only behalf of your student, but other students. And I think that's very important that not only do you continue to do that, but that we encourage others to do that as well.
Thank you, Brad, and thank you, everyone. An excellent process, excellent candidates. I'm absolutely thrilled. The next item on our agenda is one, by the way, Brad, would you like to introduce your wife?
Yes, yeah, my wife Irina's here with me tonight. We have 2 little ones at home, so we don't often get a date night, so I figured, what a better one to have.
Very good, Brad. Congratulations. Next item is 186.24. Any citizens wishing to address the board on anything at all can do so now. Does anyone like to come up? Next item, 187.24, is superintendent's report and comments. Dr. Dignan.
Thank you, President Cox. First off, I want to thank everybody again and reiterate, thank you for being out here, and thank you for putting our kids first. Again, as people have said, there's a role for everybody to play, and we can work together and we can come up and come up with solutions and do what's best for our children. So I want to thank everybody there. I also want to thank Meridian Health, who actually came out last week and screened 655 of our children at the elementary, gave them free eye exams. They could pick out frames. They fitted them for glasses. We actually had 131 kids that are going to get glasses that are going to be sent to the school. So made a huge difference. I want to thank Hype 2 Athletics. They're going to be giving 200 Thanksgiving turkeys away, working with our Family Resource Center to make sure we identify families in need. Our students at Walker Winter, and I've heard people mention Walker Winter a few times tonight, we had 4 students that went down. They actually had a science project that went up in space. It was through our community and private donations that they went down to the Kennedy Space Station and actually got to see the launch. Talking to some of the staff and kids, one young lady said it was the greatest thing that she's ever done. And so just again, that's our community coming together to do what's best for kids. The last one is we were just awarded last week Michigan College Access Marino Award for our work from our college and career readiness. It takes everybody in our district, K-12, working together to create post-secondary journeys for all of our kids. So again, I want to thank our team, our educators here in Wayne Westland for always putting our kids first, and I'll end it on that.
Thank you, sir. Review and recommendations, members of the Board of Education. We're going to begin with Secretary Melody Hines.
Yes, I'd like to thank everyone that came out tonight. You guys are all phenomenal. And honestly, I like this better than when they have the elections. I know free and clear, but it's a way that everybody can get to know people's experience, the backgrounds, and the passion for our community. So definitely, we have some elections coming up pretty soon. We're always looking to fill spots. And definitely, please continue to volunteer in the community because that's so important. I was so impressed with everyone. And I'll be honest, it was such a difficult decision, very difficult, because everybody was talented and really had passion for the district.
Thank you. Ms. May?
Thank you. Echoing everyone else, thank you so much for coming out this evening and being a part of this process. It was definitely a very difficult decision. But I am excited to know that we have so many people in the community that want to be a part of making things better for our students, making things better for our community. Congratulations to you, Mr. Gray. Looking forward to working with you. And again, just thank you everyone for coming out on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Ms. Abby Mitchell?
Yes, on a Friday night. I'd like to also echo with my my fellow colleagues that you guys all did excellent. And your passion and your desire to want to help with the district is greatly appreciated. And we heard, and it was a difficult choice to be made. One of the things that we do here in Wayne Westland, we believe in growing our own talent. So if we could have voted for you all, we would have. But, the work does not have to stop here. You can work with us as a parent group. It's still work that needs to be done. Thank you for all that you do for the district. Thank you for volunteering. You know, just thank you for being a part. Thank you for being passionate. We appreciate everything you do, and thank you for applying. And congratulations to you, Brad. I look forward to working with you also. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Friday night.
Thank you. Dr. Weaver.